Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Sim. I'm a lecturer of philosophy here in NUS. I teach the philosophy of computing and data analysis, as well as Chinese philosophy. Yeah? So two very different things, but all in one. Yeah? Now, today I'm going to talk to you about hands-on applications of ChatGPT, whether you're an educator, researcher, or even just general admin. Yeah? So I'm going to show you what we can do. Now, just a show of hands, how many of you have already started using ChatGPT? Okay, so very good, very good. Now, I want to start first with users for educators and researchers. Now, I will tell you a quick summary of my ChatGPT journey. The first time I played with it, I was thinking, hey, this thing isn't very, very good, isn't it? Then I started talking to my students about it, and as Rishabh demonstrated, students have been playing with ChatGPT a lot more than us working professionals. And I learned a lot about how to get it to produce very, very insightful and excellent output. And after that, I've been experimenting. How can I use it as an educator, as a researcher? So today, I'm going to share that with you. Now, the other day, we had a demonstration session with some faculty on how we can use ChatGPT. And there were 3 ladies in the room, right? They played with it, and then suddenly, on the look on their faces, all of them got so upset. And I was like, oh, why are they so upset? Well, it turns out that the 3 of them spent 3 weeks, researching on how to come up with a grading rubric for a special project. And then they type in the question, the prompt, and ChatGPT gave them something that exactly what they found, if in fact better, within a single minute. Wow. You can imagine how black their faces were that day, right? But the point is this, ChatGPT is wonderful as an idea generator, yeah? Especially as educators and researchers, what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to generate ideas. And we generate a lot of ideas, and sometimes starting from scratch can be very difficult. Oh, new proposal, new curriculum. What do I say? How do I begin? So we can actually use it to generate ideas. We can generate lesson plans. So here's a sample. We can get it to generate like a 12-week intro lesson plan on adolescent psychology for university students. And boom, there we go. Okay. Boom, there we go. Week 1, we'll cover this topic. Week 2, we cover this topic. Week 3, we'll cover this topic. Now, here's the thing about ChatGPT, right? The quality of the output is dependent on the quality of your instructions. So if I say, hey, this doesn't quite cover a Singapore context, sure, no problem. Then I can say, okay, make it specific to the context of Singapore. And I can even say, suggest sample assignment questions. And then let's go. Okay. Well, this one even better. It gives you course description at the start. Right. And as you can see, it's starting to already incorporate ideas on how each week's lesson can be linked to a Singaporean context. Okay. Now, you can go actually a step further. You can even say, provide the lesson plan outline for lecture 1. Mention what slide number 1, what do you want? Slide number 2, what do you want? It can actually go as far to do that as well. Powerful, isn't it? Yeah. Now, of course, as Rishabh said just now, we can get it to summarize, right? We can also get it to, it's great for researchers. I mean, I've been in a situation recently where I forgot a paper I read 1 year ago. So what do? Again, okay, same article. I can copy, and it can give me a very good executive summary. Now, the one that Rishabh showed you is just a small paragraph, right? But I can actually go one step further and say, I want you to learn this passage and highlight every single point, be as detailed as possible. Now, just now you saw the chat gave a summary, 1 paragraph. Now it gives me way more details. Yeah? So the quality of the prompt is the quality of the output is dependent on the quality of the prompt. Now, as an educator, I can actually go many steps further with this. How? Well, now that I've taught ChatGPT this article, right, I can actually get it to generate MCQ questions. So here's the prompt. I say, based on this, okay, come up with 3 MCQ questions. Okay? Not just come up with 3 MCQ questions, 5 options, and indicate which is the answer. And for every incorrect option, explain. Yeah? Because why? In many of the learning management systems, you can also put in the explanation, right? So students can learn why is this option the incorrect option. Yeah? So ChatGPT can write it for you as well. Wow, isn't that great? Now, we can go again another step further. it already learned this article, right? Then what can I do? Generate essay questions. Sometimes you just scratch your head. Oh, what can I ask students to write? Okay, then we can get ChatGPT to generate. So same thing, right? Now I can scroll back up, okay, click the edit button, edit this prompt, and say, based on the above reading, come up with 10 possible essay questions. Why 10? Because maybe I don't like the first 5, and then maybe there's another 2 or 3 that's very, very good. Boom! Now I have essay questions ready. Of course, then I might want to add my own value to the questions. I might look at it and say, hey, this isn't quite testing what I want, but at least it gives me the starting base for whatever work that I want to do. Yeah. Now, here's one thing that I experience as an educator. Sometimes we want to teach students by means of negative demonstration. We give them a sample that is problematic, either because the grammar is bad or it's a bad piece of writing, and we want students to learn by identifying the problems, by identifying the mistakes. Now, one of the struggles I face as an educator is that sometimes it can be very difficult to come up with these kinds of examples. It's easier if you encounter a student's piece with it, right? But it can be a bit sensitive, especially if the student finds out you use his or her work as a demonstration, right? So, okay, no problem, right? What can we do? Here, let me demonstrate. I have an article over here that was written on Channel News Asia. So I can copy this article, and then I can tell ChatGPT, rewrite this in the style of someone who is not a non-native English speaker struggling in English. And then it can write it for me. Now, in the sample I'm going to show you, I specifically say non-native Chinese speaker. Why? Because if you are too vague, what's going to happen? You're going to see an output that is so, the grammatical structure is so weird, the students and you won't be able to relate with it. So we do need to pick some ethnicity, give it very concrete instructions, and then you will do just that. So let's run it. Here's the thing, I'm using ChatGPT 4. 4 is capable of thinking in multiple languages, right? So by asking it to think as a native Chinese speaker, or you can choose any other ethnicity, right? It's thinking in another language, but giving you the output in English. So now I have a piece that's written in not very good grammar, and I can use this as an exercise for students to improve their grammar. Identify what are the problems with it. Wow, powerful, right? Again, so here's a sample, right? So this is the original in decent English, right? As educators, we often ask if our students are ready for the future. But how often do we ask ourselves if we, educators, are ready for the future? Then here's what ChatGPT did to mimic the style of a non-native speaker struggling in English. As teachers, we ask if students ready for future. But we ask ourselves if we teachers ready for future, right? Now we have a sample that we can use as an activity for learning. Now, it doesn't just have to be English, right? We can even get it to come up with bad writing for anything. Bad coding, bad writing, bad whatever. ChatGPT can do that, yeah? Now, we can even go one step further, right? We can give, as educators, we can give very personalized feedback and guidance using ChatGPT. So, let me use this example. Again, I'm going to feed this article that was written in the programmer, right? And now I say, come up with elaborate set of guidance with examples to help someone who's not a non-native English speaker understand and identify grammatical errors in what was written. Okay? Let's see. Yeah, it identifies, here are the problems in the above piece of writing. It even identifies the examples from the article with suggestions on how it should be correct. Now, imagine if I can produce this en masse for a lot of students. I can then produce very personalized feedback for every single one of my students to help them to learn and improve. Isn't that amazing, right? Now, of course, what's the next one? Now, of course, we are worried, right? Oh, AI is definitely a disruptor in education. So there are 3 ways that we can respond to AI in education. The first is, can we come up with AI-resistant assessments? Some ideas that I've heard is, let's come up with assessments where half the context is missing from the assignment question. So if they copy and paste it into ChatGPT, the AI is going to say, I don't have enough information to make an answer. Or the answer will be completely off, right? So that is one way. But if you're a very smart student, you start to realize, actually, that's easy, right? All I have to do is then feed it the context that was missing from the assignment, right? And as AI continues to get better and better, I mean, GPT-4's inferential powers are really good, right? So it's becoming a lot harder to implement AI-resistant assessments, okay? So maybe this is going to be very quickly a thing of the past, right? So another way is to consider AI-enhanced assessments. What do we mean by that? As it is, as Richard demonstrated just now, some students are already asking ChatGPT, oh, can you please give me feedback on my essay, right? Now, we may say, okay, then wouldn't this then have a kind of inequality, right? Students with access to AI may do better than students with no access to AI. Sure. Then, let's just institutionalize it. Every student should be then consulting AI. So then, they will treat AI as a peer reviewer. So we tell students, okay, before you submit to me, I expect every single one of you submit to ChatGPT, ask it for feedback and evaluation. Now, as educators, right, our role is to teach students how to use this rigorously and responsibly. So what can we do? Because students are already doing that to get feedback, right? We want to train them for a higher level. So we can say, using the feedback that the AI gives, I also want you to comment on the feedback, just like academic peer review. Every point of feedback that the AI says, write a response. Do you agree? Do you accept this recommendation? Or do you reject this recommendation? Then in this way, the student will start thinking about the feedback. They don't just wholesale accept everything. They start thinking, oh, maybe this is good, maybe this is relevant, maybe this is not useful, right? The last one is AI collaborative assessments, where we treat AI either as a tutor or as a fellow student, yeah? So how do we do that? Now, I have a poll for you all, which is, please scan this QR code, or if you're already on PoEV, vote. Do you want me to show you AI role-playing as a confused student? How to get students to debate with an AI, or how to conduct Socratic dialogue between AI and a human being, yeah? So, have you all scanned the QR code? Okay, can we switch to the second PoEV results? Wow, wonderful. Okay, so oh, debating with AI. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Now, not to worry, yeah? All three examples will be in the slides that we are going to release after today's session, all right? So, but I will elaborate on debating with AI, all right? Thank you, everyone. Oh, that was very exciting. Okay, so can we switch back to the slides? Okay, so here is debating with an AI. Now, I developed this with my teaching assistants. It's an activity. You see, the wonderful thing about AI is that we can program it like a computer, right? We can literally program it, but our programming language is now English, the English language, right? Here's the prompt. I want to engage with you in a debate on a controversial issue within the area of topic. You must take a stand on the issue and begin by stating a view from your stance in one sentence. Begin by saying, they say. Thereafter, I will reply you with my own objection, and you will subsequently respond to my objection with your own objection in one sentence. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Then we will continue to have this back and forth conversation with each other until I say stop. Yeah? And the AI will very quiet, listen to this instruction and behave accordingly. So here, what do we have? Yeah? Here's the prompt. I have moral relativism. And then the AI says, okay, they say that blah, blah, blah. And then now, I, as the human, have to respond to it. I say that blah, 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 and then it's going to come up with a response. And then it's a back and forth. Now, we can do this in tutorials, in a face-to-face classroom activity. This can even be a take-home assignment where we get students to engage in this kind of debates and discussion. Now, this is great because we can zoom in on certain soft skills that we don't normally have time to cover in a typical classroom setting. Yeah? So AI allows us to automate this in a way that's personalized for students. Now, okay, just for the people who are interested in the Socratic dialogue, here's the prompt. Basically, it's the same thing. I want to engage with you in a Socratic dialogue. I will be the teacher, you will be the student. Just like that, yeah? And the AI will behave. Of course, occasionally the AI, ChatGPT, can forget one or two things that you say and it will break character. And then you just say, hey, you broke character. They say, oh, sorry, and they will go back into it, all right? Okay, so here's the key to success with teaching and learning with AI. From my own experience as an educator, I found that, I learned all these things in collaboration with students. Why? Because students have, number one, more time than us, but number two, they are sharing a lot of the best practices and uses amongst themselves. And how students use technology can be very different from how we use technology. So if we want to design teaching and learning that's effective, we do need closer collaboration with our students to understand how they use it so that we can then guide them to use it better, responsibly, and more critically. Yeah? Now, I have other things to cover, but in the interest of time, I will now pass the mic on to Karina. Yeah. Thank you.